top of mind for most parents sending their kids back to school, of course, COVID safety and protocol. So let's start there and start with the basics. What is the general COVID safety protocol and also the recommendations for students attending Clear Creek ISD campuses?
So we are continuing some practices from last year. We actually have added some practices that we weren't planning on, public health mitigation practices, just the last couple of, within the last week in response to changing data over the last couple of weeks. But so some examples of some public health mitigation strategies include, so for at the elementary level, students would be socially distanced during breakfast and lunch. And at the intermediate high schools, we would have additional space for students to spread out and physical distance. We're also giving parents the opportunity to fill out a back to school form that states whether or not they want to require their children to wear face coverings. And so our teachers would work to enforce that expectation if that's a parent preference. So there is not a covering requirement in CCISD in accordance with Governor Abbott's prohibition of those. However, we are strongly encouraging students, staff, visitors to wear face coverings when they're indoors and they're not eating or drinking and say they're in close proximity of folks. But we're also continuing, and we're planning on continuing anyway, things like having cleaning supplies, hand wipes, and hand sanitizers in every classroom, and hand sanitizing stations in common areas, refillable water bottle stations, making face coverings available to students upon request, greater attention to air quality with extended run times in terms of our HVAC units. So those are several examples. I want to comment that those safety protocols are really important. They're important both because for health reasons and just keeping kids and staff in school, because TEA has recently revised their guidance to make clear that districts must exclude students from school if they test positive. And so these mitigation measures are both about protecting public health and keeping students and staff at school, at work for teaching and learning, because we know that in-person learning is best for most students.